You would think that wars happen because of things like, power, territory, politics, serious human reasons. But sometimes we've started wars because of a pig, a bucket, a pastry shop, a dog, and my personal favorite, birds. So, here are some of the weirdest wars in history. Let's begin. Let me explain to you the most innocent victim in history, this pig with zero political agenda. Now, this war happened on San Juan Islands between United States and the British Empire. These two don't F with each other for the longest time. And when an American farmer named Lyman Cutler shot a pig owned by the British Hudson's Bay Company. Why? Because the pig kept breaking into his garden and eating his potatoes. The British Hudson Company, instead of saying, "Bro, you should not have done that," decided to send troops to the island. And it went into an all out war where the US sent around, I don't know, 460 soldiers, while the British literally sent a warship with cannons. All because of one stupid pig. And the craziest part is that no one died. Both sides eventually agreed to a joint military occupation, which basically means it's cool, bruh. No biggie. Yeah, technically there was a war, there was massive military build-up, international tension, and historically, that pig is the only confirmed fatality. Now, twin, we go medieval, which means that logic is about to leave the room. This conflict was between these two rival Italian cities, like Mario and Luigi almost. They're called Bologna and Modena. These two also didn't F with each other. They were already politically divided, where one was like, "We're gonna support the Pope," and the other was like, "Nah, twin, we with the Holy Roman Emperor." So tensions were already high. And now enters the bucket. According to tradition, Modenese soldiers stole a wooden bucket from a well in Bologna. Was the bucket the real reason for the war? Not exactly. It was more like a final insult in an already hostile rivalry. This theft became a symbol of conflict. The result, a major battle at Zappolino, which totally sounds like a JoJo character. Fun fact, the bucket is still displayed in Modena today. And the craziest part, since Modena won the war, it was basically like you getting robbed. You go to the police and be like, I got my stuff stolen by that man over there. And then the police officer decides to beat you up and steal your stuff with the man. Insane, right? While the war wasn't only about a bucket, it absolutely became history's most violent. Yo, why you take my stuff, bruh? The Pastry War. This war sounds totally fake, but I am not making shit up. This is a very real war and slightly more complicated than it sounds. A French pastry chef named Remondel, living in Mexico, claimed that Mexican soldiers looted and damaged his bakery during civil unrest. France used this complaint along with some other claims, which were totally true, as an excuse to demand compensation from Mexico. And Mexico was like, "Nah, fam." France responded by sending a naval fleet, bombarding the port of Veracruz, and blockading Mexican ports. So, yeah, a bakery complaint helped trigger an international naval conflict. And obviously, this wasn't about pastries, it was more about France flexing its power and protecting its citizens' financial claims while using that bakery incident as justification. But can you imagine, like, if you have a croissant business and it gets raided by some thugs, and somehow you, the prime minister, and the president are in warships going to attack the country from where the thugs were? Huh. Now, this one genuinely feels like a misunderstanding that got way out of hand. Between Greece and Bulgaria, this Greek soldier was chasing his dog across the border. Accounts vary slightly, but most seem to agree that he crossed into the Bulgarian territory and was shot by Bulgarian guards. Because of this incident, Greece was like, Twin, that's too much. You have crossed thy limit. So now, because of the dog, Greece used this as a reason to invade them. But then Bulgaria went to the League of Nations. That is a real thing. It's not like the Justice League, you nerds. It was basically United Nations before it was united. The League intervened and ruled that Greece boy, you gotta go. You have to pay compensation. So this war lasted about 10 days and ended diplomatically. Also, this wasn't officially named the Stray Dog War, which is honestly the coolest name ever. It's just a nickname which historians gave it way later. But still, the fact that a dog triggered a military response, kinda crazy. The Emu War. This is objectively the funniest military failure ever. Australia versus emus. So, after World War One, Australian farmers were given land, which turned out to be prime emu territory. And every year, around 20,000 of these emus would migrate through this farmland, destroying the crops. The farmers called up the government and were like, "Oh, Yui, this emu done kill me crops and me wife." The government responded like, "I got you, fam. Let me send some soldiers." Yes, actual military personnel with machine guns. They sent Rambo to fight off some birds. Insane. So it went in two phases. Phase one, soldiers with guns tried ambushing the emus, but the emus just scattered away too quickly. And also their guns ended up jamming. Phase 2, where they used mounted machine guns on trucks, and somehow the trucks couldn't keep up while the terrain made it so much more difficult. This resulted in very few emus killed, a massive waste of ammo, and if you know anything about guns, it is expensive. And worst of all, public embarrassment, the worst thing that can happen to anyone. This operation was eventually abandoned, and the enemy still won. The enemy being the emus. The emus won, not because they fought back, but because they simply refused to cooperate with being shot. I know, right? If you're thinking, man, we've evolved past this. We're like intelligent now. We have like the internet and stuff. Have we though? I mean, like, have you seen Twitter? People are declaring war over like K-pop idols and I don't know, other stuff like Pokemon. It's literally the same energy, just with better Wi-Fi and, accessibility. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more of these kind of videos. And remember, if a pig eats your potatoes, just build a fence.